Hello everyone, today we are breaking down the official teaser for A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, but before that, remember to like the video, helps out the channel a lot, and subscribe, and yada yada yada, let's get to it. The first thing we see is Sir Duncan the Tall burying Sir Arlen of Pennytree. Duncan had been squiring for Sir Arlen since he was a boy, and before his death he knighted Duncan. Duncan was originally from Fleabottom, which is basically the slums of King's Landing, and he was an orphan. So as far as knights go, as we are used to seeing them in Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, Sir Duncan is very different. He's not from a noble house. He's really a nobody. Sir Duncan and Sir Arlen are hedge knights, which basically means they are independent. They're not in anybody's service until they get hired. Basically, it's a nicer way to say sellsword. We hear a voiceover from Sir Duncan telling somebody the vow he took when Sir Arlen knighted him, to be a good knight, to defend the weak and the innocent, and he swore that he would. This goes into what Sir Duncan's character is about. He's a good man. I think it was the Hound, Sandor Clegane, who said any man can be knighted, all you have to do is say the words. There are few men who live up to those words. I'm paraphrasing here, but for instance, his brother, the Mountain, Gregor Clegane, was a knight. He was not good, he did not defend the innocent. Sir Duncan, on the other hand, tries his best to live up to those words. In the next shot, we see Sir Duncan test out his sword, which formerly belonged to Sir Arlen. We also see that he has 3 horses, Thunder, Chestnut, and Sweetfoot. I know people who are watching want to know the horses' names. I'm guessing that's why most of you are here. Duncan is practicing. He doesn't have a crazy amount of experience and wants to get a feel for things. He has a big challenge ahead of him, as we see in the next shot. We see that Duncan is now in his armor and on top of Thunder. He has entered a tourney and will be jousting. The tourney is at Ashford Meadows. It was in honor of Lord Ashford's daughter to celebrate her 13th name day. So a lot of lords do this for a variety of reasons. Could be for birthdays, weddings, that sort of thing. And knights from all over come and join the lists. And if you really impress someone, they could maybe ask you to come into their service. So with Duncan being a hedge knight and being independent, he could win some money, winning a few jousts, or the melee. And if he really impresses a lord, they could ask him to join their household guard. Because hedge knights don't have a lot of benefits other than freedom, you don't really have a steady source of income. So it sounds like a win-win proposition for Dunk, right? Incorrect. Dunk has to put his armor and horse up as collateral. So if he loses, the victor may demand a ransom for it back. And Duncan doesn't have a lot of coin. So he's really betting on himself here to win, because armor and horses aren't cheap. Like, he is screwed if he loses. In the next scene, we see Duncan talking to a stable boy who asks him if he is Baelor Targaryen. Duncan says no, and the stable boy tells him to move the F out of the way then. Duncan apologizes for being a lunk. I point this out because it's something we haven't seen in the other prequel series House of the Dragon. Like, Game of Thrones was very witty and was kind of funny, and House of the Dragon really has none of that whatsoever, and I'm glad we're getting some moments like that in this show. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is based on the George R.R. Martin book by the same name. So dialogue-wise, it's going to be much closer to what we saw in Thrones than House of the Dragon. Because House of the Dragon is based on Fire and Blood, which reads like a history book, it doesn't really have dialogue in it. So the writers of that show are responsible for that dialogue, which is why it's not as witty as Game of Thrones was. Baelor Targaryen, for context, is currently the hand of the king to his father, Daemon Targaryen. He is the next in line for the Iron Throne, so basically he is a really big deal. In the background, we see a coat of arms. This is House Ashford's sigil, a white sun on a red field. In this shot, we get another view of Ashford Meadows, and we see the size of it. They're really going all out here with the budget. It seems like they have a real tourney ground and a little town to do this. I mean, you do save a lot of money when you don't have to CGI dragons. In the next scene, we see Egg for the first time. He will be squiring for Sir Duncan. The two met at an inn. Duncan thought he was a stable boy, but there is much more to him, which Duncan finds out later. He asks Duncan if he could squire for him at the tourney. Duncan says no, but the boy follows him there, where then Duncan agrees to it. Duncan saw a little bit of himself in Egg, believing they had similar childhoods and whatnot. We see the two talking at the campfire, Egg saying he has never heard of Sir Duncan the Tall. And Duncan responds with, "You know all the knights in the Seven Kingdoms?" Egg responds with, the good ones. So once again, we see some of that humor, but we also see the dynamic between these two. Egg is quick-witted with a sharp tongue, which can get him into trouble, and he doesn't really have a filter. And Duncan can be a bit of a lunk. Dunk the lunk, they say, is thick as a castle wall. In the next shot, we see the banners of House Targaryen make their way to the tourney. So we will see some princes in the list. The Targaryen sigil has changed a bit from what we are used to seeing. It still has 3 dragons, but it now has wings. I couldn't find a reason for this, but it's like any brand, sometimes you just change it up. In the next scene, we see Aerion Targaryen. He has short hair, not a lot of short-haired Targaryens, it's a rare sight. Aerion is known as a bit of a jerk. He is sadistic and cruel. He believes he is a dragon in human form. When people speak about Targaryen madness, Aerion is a great example of it. He mistakes Sir Duncan as a stable boy. Duncan corrects him, saying he is not. Aerion says, "What, not clever enough?" So Duncan is taking a lot of L's right now. Everyone's just being really mean to him. It probably has something to do with how he's dressed. He doesn't exactly look knightly. In the next shot, we see a puppet show going on, and we see a puppet dragon. Now, this is much bigger than I imagined when reading the books. Tourneys are like carnivals, in a way. A lot of vendors come here to sell goods. There's going to be a lot of people here just to watch, and then you got the people competing as well, so you can make a lot of money. We see Duncan and this lady here kind of lock eyes. Her name is Tansel, and she helped with the puppets. Duncan has a little bit of a crush on her, it seems. We have another scene with Dunk and Egg. Egg is wondering why Dunk puts up with all these lords who think they are better than him. And Dunk says because they are. Egg is relatively young, so he doesn't really get what Dunk has been through. But he's lowborn. There's a pecking order. And Dunk is near the bottom. In the next scene, we see Duncan talking with Lionel Baratheon, also known as the Laughing Storm. Lionel is one of the most famous knights of his time and is quite the fighter. He got the nickname the Laughing Storm because he would laugh at his opponents in battle. Duncan is asking him what chance he would have against these knights who have famous names and actual training. Lionel tells him straight up, "You have no chance." I think these two have been drinking a lot as well, because we see Duncan wearing antlers here. House Baratheon's sigil is a crowned stag. Lionel's helmet actually has antlers too, which is kind of awesome, not gonna lie. In the next scene, we see Duncan and Egg sleeping under the stars, where we see a falling star. Dunk, being a hedge knight and a poor one at that, does not have the money for a tent and whatnot like the other knights do, so he and Egg will be sleeping on the ground. In the next scene, we see Dunk and his new shield. He made a new coat of arms as well, since he could not use Sir Arlen's. It is an elm tree with a falling star above it. In the next shot, we see Sir Duncan and a lot of other knights preparing for a tilt. There are 7 knights to be specific, including Duncan. We see Lionel Baratheon with his antlers as well joining him. The person directly in the middle is Baelor Targaryen, and it's hard to tell who the other knights are. I know the names, I just don't know who is who. Sir Raymond Fossaway, Sir Humphrey Harding, Sir Humphrey Beesbury, and Sir Robin Risling. This is a very big moment in the show. I won't give away what exactly is happening here because of spoilers. In the next shot, we see Aerion and his armor, and it is quite something. It is always fun to see the bigger houses in their armor because it's so much better looking than everybody else's. Like, there's no fantasy show that does armor like the Game of Thrones universe. I really appreciate the work and the craftsmanship they put into it, because they're like works of art. We get another glimpse of Lionel with his armor on, up close this time. I just really appreciate the detail they go through. We see the 7 knights charge at the other 7. We see that Aerion is on the other side of this conflict. So Duncan has found himself fighting a Targaryen prince. We also see from this shot that Duncan is taking a morning star to the face from Aerion, and he hits the ground hard. And then in the final shot, we see Duncan and the 6 other knights charge at the others with their lances down. This scene looks crazy. Like, I can't wait to see what this looks like. The way it's being filmed right now is crazy. It's like you're in it, actually. And that is it for the teaser trailer. What did you think of it? Leave it down in the comments below. And if you want more A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms content, please subscribe and like the video. Check out the Twitter link in the description below. And as always, have an awesome day.